This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. Just do a quick audio check, see if you can hear me.
Yeah, so is it okay?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. This is April now. Cannot believe. So I sent out a brief agenda today, and maybe I want to start with OCP summit last month, and I think a lot of us kind of meet up again after a long time, face to face. And we did a few things. One new thing is the OCP community space. I really think that's a very kind of impactful and also first of a kind collaboration. So I want to appreciate all the volunteers and all the audience come to the OCP NIC community space. So I think we should keep doing it, but I will try to see if we can make this a tradition. And I put on a few quick thoughts on the learning part about the OCP Experience Lab, OCP NIC community space, and workshop talks as well. So for the OCP NIC community space, I think we have been talking about it, but when we really act on it, it did take some time for us to ramp up on finding the right people in different organizations and get them on the track, being diligent on acting on the organization, and also for the OCP foundation wise, I think we can also use stronger, closer communication. So that's kind of the learning that we may carry on to next year or other events. For example, there are other OCP regional summits that we may consider doing this. And also due to the previous reason, actually a couple ideas that we thought about and people feel interesting are actually not moved on. One example is the punch card program. We think it's interesting, but it's kind of not a priority to work on. So that's something we can think about to improve in the future. As of the workshop talks, I think overall it's also very good, and we did one thing new to have 8 talks back to back, which I think definitely helped to reduce a lot of transition time, working back and forth between different rooms, sort of thing. Really have the right folks in the room in a good chunk of time. And as of learning, I think the number one learning for me is to do a better job with time control. And we kind of started late and end up having the whole schedule shifted, and Intel end up being very left with 5 minutes or something when they're supposed to have 15 minutes. So another learning that I think I got some feedback from the community, which I also agree, is the content. Some of the content may appear like not highly correlated to our community work, more vendor-specific things. So I think that's something I may do a better job to review and approve the content before the event, and that's some learning for me to carry on in the future. In general, we want to use this forum to demonstrate community work, and each company's work, if it's very related to OCP NIC form factor, are all great topics. Yeah. So, and maybe I will pause a second for taking any thoughts, any other observations you see in the summit that I should record and take into consideration in the future.
There's one that I think one of the reasons why we started late
attendee wasn't like there's not many attendee at 8
Sorry.
o'clock. So
Sorry. Wherever it is, I think your voice wasn't clear. Is that Damien?
yeah, it is Damien. So yeah, I'm thinking of why we couldn't really start at 8 o'clock. Is one of the reasons is that attendees is a bit low in the morning. Maybe it's a feedback to a bigger OCP to actually see whether 8 o'clock start time for workshop talk if it is the right time or not.
Yeah, I think that's good. Let me record it, and I think there was also some hallway chat about kind of pretty much we have a lot of tracks now. We have a limited room, and I think there are definitely OCP Foundation is aware of this and thinking about ways of address it. But I think I will bring this to Foundation, but I don't think that's a surprise to them. Actually, Archana is on the bridge. If you want to comment on it, Archana?
Yeah, I've been listening. I've agreed. This time around, 8 o'clock was really, really high, really early. And I know that it was really hard for people to come. We are thinking of going back to a single day keynote so that we can have more time for the workshops and more time for the experience lab, as well as the expo hall. There is also talk right now, and we're exploring whether we want to go to 3 days, just to give people a little bit more time to network and to collaborate. So all of those points that were made, very, very good points. I will keep note of them, and we will take a look at the regional summit and next year as a way to improve.
Yep.
And we'll get started way early on the experience lab as well, because I think this time around, Jia, you were right. We started late, and so we had to scramble at the end to try and make this happen. But I think that's going to be a feature that's going to be part of all of our summits now, because it was so popular and there was such great demand for it. So we'll make sure we'll plan early.
Thank you, Archana, and appreciate the great support from the foundation team to the community.
Well, honestly, the summit was a success because of all the volunteers and all of the attendees. I mean, I'm really, really humbled by how much, people were talking, and people from all over the world were, having conversations. So it's really great to see that, and we're really, really excited. So thank you to everybody that came. Thank you to everybody that presented. Thank you to anybody that volunteered. I mean, it was truly a success because of all of you.
Thank you, Archana. Let's open together. All right. Thank you, Damien, for the comments. Any other comments on the bridge about the summit, workshop, or any idea you want to share, feedbacks?
It's Thomas. This may be minor, but it would be awesome if the OCP Experience Lab next year would have some space outside to lock up equipment.
Okay.
Oh, that's a great point. Duly noted. Thank you, Thomas.
Yep. Just because that was outside the main expo hall, and I know from multiple vendors that we were there next to, right? We all grabbed our stuff and moved it into the expo hall and locked it up there. But the storage locker would be great.
Okay, fair point.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hey, Jacques, just one more thing. We do have some events coming up. They're slowly getting put on the OCP calendar, but I wanted to highlight them because, a lot of them are not here locally, they're abroad. We have an OCP day at Computex in Taiwan coming up on May 30th. So we're working through the details there, but I think it would be valuable for those that are attending Computex as well as those that are having a booth at Computex to take a look at the OCP calendar and see if you can make it. That's number one. We're also planning an OCP mainland China day in Beijing, and that's coming up on June 25th. And that's, like I said, it's going to be in Beijing. We're still working through the details. OCP Japan is going to happen on June 27th, and that's at Tokyo. and it'll be at the NTT headquarters. So we have a venue already set there. And then there is right now some conversation about the big communications event, which is happening in Denver. I think it's now been branded the big 5G event. So OCP will be doing some sort of a day zero event with the Linux Foundation there. So just a few events that are coming up.
Thank you, Angela. Yep. Make a quick note, maybe I will check with you on before I send out the meeting minutes. I'll leave the TD. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I may miss a couple, but anyway, I will check with you offline and make sure I capture all the events for the meeting minutes. So thank you. Yeah, let's see. I think maybe it's actually also our decision about community, like which are the events we may choose to attend and present, and trying to better achieve our overall goal, right? So essentially, maybe we may consider actually have some representation of OCP NIC community in these events. Yeah. So
perfect. Just let me know one way or another.
Yeah. Thanks. All right. Any other comments from Bridge? Great suggestion. Okay. Let's move on. So another thing I noticed, there is actually a change. I think before the summit, I want to take a look in OCP Marketplace. So maybe first, let me stop a little bit. Does everyone knows OCP Marketplace? Yes, I'm going to open it. Here you go. Yeah, I'm going to share a screen here. Oh, do I have a share screen here? Huh? Wait a minute. Yes, okay. Yeah, so this is OCP Marketplace, which is the equipment service provider or equipment suppliers put on it. And in that website, there's a different filter. One filter is a category. And if I choose a NIC, Mezz, which is the legacy name of the OCP NIC, there are currently 12 products, I believe, from probably 4 or 5 different companies, Manox, Mytek, Intel, etc. I think this has been increased a lot in the past 1 to 2 months. It looks like more supplier and more SKUs are available on the marketplace. So I just want to take this opportunity to broadcast and encourage people work with OCP Foundation to put your product, especially NIC-related product, in the marketplace. And meanwhile, we are also providing some feedback when we take a look at this. Maybe there's some way for people to see it easier between OCP NIC 2.0, 3.0, etc. So we are giving this feedback to OCP Foundation. So if you have any suggestion or question, feel free to reach out to me. Either I will try to answer it or direct you to the right person in OCP Foundation. That's a quick call out of the OCP marketplace and the NIC presence there. Okay, so move on. So let's also maybe take some time to review where we are on the specification. So I'm going to also open the wiki. So I put a link in the email. You should be able to see it, and that's always it should be your go-to place to find the OCP NIC-related latest collateral. So we did a revision push on the 0.86 version. So a few documents are updated. First is the version tracking documents. What are the pending changes with that focus? And then the specification itself is published with 0.86. And then mechanical-wise, I think there is a new 3D model, so I forgot to push it, so just push it today. It's actually a month old already. And we are also waiting for the 2D to be refreshed to match the 3D, so probably they will come soon. There is a new item is a shotgun byte text feature. I get the package from Intel. So it's a new testing feature family thing in the collateral. And there are also a couple contribution in the pipeline. They're waiting for some legal process. Is the Dell EMC, they have a few signal integrity testing feature. But I will wait until those contribution license agreement being processed before posting it. That's kind of a quick update on where we are on the spec. And if no specific question, I will take a brief walkthrough of the tracker of our pending changes. Yeah. So let me see. We have the right people on the bridge. Maybe I will for the future. Let me actually start with thermal. And we have Yemi here. And I think there are 2 or 3 thermal topics open. There is a brief update as we think, but maybe we can share this with the community as well. Try to make it bigger. By the way, you should be able to download this spreadsheet in the wiki in case the share screen is too small for you to see, to read.
Okay, so the first open item is actually here the tier definition in the full EEPROM. And I think last time when I met Dell at OCP, they were still doing some testing. And I haven't heard back from Dell's team on what's the latest status of this testing. Just like want to get a sense from the community, seeing like how urgent we want to get this done, so to engage your product development. And if like this is an urgent timeline, like maybe Thomas, if you get a chance, maybe also kind of try to contact Rob from Dell to see like what his latest schedule looks like. Probably that will help to move this item forward.
So maybe a little bit context here is in the specification we have a EEPROM. There is a definition of tier 1 to tier 12 or 13, 14. So and then basically that's the 2 bytes to define what kind of NIC thermal profile you are designing for. It's a NIC EEPROM property. So I think we want to learn from the community, like especially for those people are making NICs today, right? Like does this get you like in your prototyping, in your sampling, for example, like if it's undefined, is this a problem for you to move on your testing, or is it something not critical? Maybe you are doing a certain workaround, and in this case, maybe we should spell out and make a recommendation of the workaround to everyone while we are waiting for the testing data to really define these tiers. How do I do this? Yes. So this is a related definition, I think. Oh no, this is inference. Yeah, so this is the thermal card here. So currently we have some is defined reserved, while there are 12 tiers defined for hot and cold wire. Yeah. So it seems like it's actually a little bit chicken and egg for this situation, because you need enough car and enough testing time to define a tier, while when you're sampling those cars, you may want to program properly, right? So I'm actually trying to recommend if we may, instead of calling 0x00 is reserved, instead make it to be defined or something. Basically, before the definition is well defined of the tiers, we would recommend the NIC suppliers to program it as a certain value as a starting point, instead of leave it undefined. I want to hear some feedback from NIC suppliers and maybe system suppliers on this suggestion. How do you do the NIC today, for example, if you have EEPROM of these two EEPROM bytes, how would you do it today? Or maybe we don't have the right people here. Paul, you want to say something? I cannot hear you.
Sure. I think we don't have an answer yet, Ja. We probably are not doing it correctly yet until we get this table right.
Mm-hmm. So what I mean is that when we are trying to get a table right, should we just recommend people to program a consistent value while they are doing the testing?
Yeah, that's a good point. No, this is a good point. Yes, we should probably, it would be reasonable for us to add a not yet tested value.
Yeah. So in this case, the system will not count on this information to do any decision.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep.
That's it. Okay. So that's maybe something we can take back for the contributors and maybe do it's probably something not critical. We can do a recommendation by email something while we can save it for next push, I guess. Because for now, I believe the system will totally ignore this field anyway. Okay. So let's move on. This is the first thermal item. Let's see the second one is about test fixture design fire. I think, is there any other pending for this one? So currently, Dell does have a thermal test fixture design. Oh, I think the ask was, is there possible to have a user guide? Yeah, and I don't recall we have any. That's probably something also need John Louis to comment on. Right. Yeah, it's not a plan that Dell does not plan to generate a user guide for good enough for broadcasting. Then we may just mark it like this is a text fixture, but it's more like a user self search. Otherwise, we can set a goal or something. Okay. Yeah. All right. So next one is some feedback from HP about. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, Carl from HP actually mentioned about the S5, which is the aux mode. During that stage, we might see some cooling challenges, especially if the transceiver is active and if we are really using like high power transceivers on the front. So basically, that will give us some like cooling challenges, like to see even during standby mode whether we should bring up the fan so that the transceiver and the ASIC both can be cooled sufficiently. So we still have an offline discussion on this item, and we actually partially addressed some of the concerns in the 0.686 push. So add some comments saying, oh, when the next suppliers design the car, we should definitely also take the aux mode into consideration and make sure during the limited airflow condition, we still have enough cooling capability to cool the car. However, I think you also mentioned like probably we want some other charts to give a further recommendation on what should the system look like and what is the maximum airflow the system actually can supply to the car. So I think this is something we need to discuss further, especially like as we know the transceiver on the front, they might have like quite a big variance. Some of them use stack cable, and that's one probably we don't necessarily see too much of concern over there. The more problematic thing is actually the AOC cables, which I think for 200G, they were saying it will consume like 3.5 watts, which is quite high. So if we do want to give a recommendation, we also probably need to help from the community, especially the system suppliers who are leveraging the AOC cables quite oftenly, and give us some initial ideas of what the system maximum cooling capability during that mode can be. And then like we can take from there and see how we want to move forward.
All right. So these are the thermal topics. Let me quick scan through the mechanical. It's pretty light, I think. Yep. So I think 3D and 3D updates, right? So
yeah. So we just pushed a new 3D CAD, like Josh said this morning. So that includes all the updates from the ME working group included into that CAD. So there should be no surprises to any of the working group folks. Very minor updates for the most part, just enhancements from the suggestion of the community. So that's the only thing that we have going right now. There is some additional discussion around some possible new variants in the future, some possibly taller faceplate variants. But that's under discussion now. Probably in our next ME working group meeting, we'll discuss that in further detail. But that's pretty much all that I have.
Earlier, I think last month there was some question from Lenovo that make sure Lenovo and Mechanical was also reviewing all the release candidates. Just make sure we, from Lenovo point of view, is there further comments, question? Maybe Warren, you may.
So Andy, who you've got listed here, is our representative to the ME work group. I haven't really closed with him. I don't know if he's attended the latest sessions or not, but he did tell me that he was not aware of any major changes that you guys were doing.
Yeah, that's probably consistent with what we've been doing. So just minor enhancements, nothing major. Yep.
Yeah, just want to circle back because that was one of the concerns last month. So hope all the stakeholders are very closely engaged and being aware of change and agree with it. I understand it's important as like as you can see, many companies are already bringing live demo equipment last month to summit. So probably people are doing prototyping, are doing testing, and essentially are worrying about major change. So we usually include them in a review. So
yeah, I mean it's really getting down to the critical point now, right, where the NIC vendors have to start committing designs. And we're not at 1.0 of the spec. So we raised this concern because one of our NIC vendors told us about some mechanical changes that they needed to make, and we had no idea of knowing whether they were affecting us or not. So it's, I don't know, it's very important to be, to have good communication at this point, and also to recognize that it's very late in everybody's design to make impactful changes.
Yeah, agree. I think this is probably very applicable to all the functions
Across the board.
Across the board, yeah. I'm going to read this here, but it's very applicable. Yeah. Okay, thank you. And then take a quick look on the general SI. I don't think there is anything major, but so let's see. So the first one is CLP-CDB. I think that we just briefly touched. It's on the way, but just need to settle down that CLA review. And the second one is about the configuration spreadsheet. I think I got a update from Thomas that the point A6 are under some review before push to the wiki, so probably we will do it after the review. Thomas, do you have anything to add?
I think the bifurcation table largely does not make any changes that are impacting current designs in flight for SFF. So anyone that was designing to a bifurcation table for 0.85 could still use that, and largely the updates are for clarification.
So the update is limited to area effect, right?
That's correct. The updates are related to LFF. And also some readability of that large table.
Mm-hmm. And general readability. Okay, thank you. And then move on. So the SI budget, I think we are almost close to conclude that, because I feel like, oh no, it's actually open, so I don't have to submit here. I don't think there are any activity. It looks like something people are wishful, but not really actually being worked on. I will park it here for now, but I think to a certain extent we need to decide either to keep it here or not working on it actually. That's about the signal integrity margin, about going, kind of taking the CAN stack as a standard starting point, but trying to look for opportunity to optimize, although I don't see much activity in the past month. So next one is RBT related redefinition. So those I believe are all in the 0.86 push. So I propose to still keep it open for a weekish until the broader community get a chance to see the updates. So
yeah, just one note on that. The SI work group, we agreed that to prevent holding up the spec any further, the SI guidelines for RBT is applicable to SFF only at this time. A later update will be made for LFF requirements.
Oh, okay. Then I should keep this one open till the LFF is, it works out. Okay.
The SI requirements section has been also revamped, so it's easier to read. However, additional input and feedback from others would be greatly appreciated.
Is there a timeline to close the large form factor?
For NCSI? Yeah. I think we set out timeline for ourselves, so yeah. And especially for anyone designing the systems for AIFS, they probably are somewhat concerned, right?
Yes.
Maybe they need a while.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, we sent out a quick survey to both NIC and baseboard vendors to determine if LFF designs were in flight, I guess, from both perspective, and how much trace is required or how far away your BMC is on your baseboard, as well as how far your silicon is from the gold fingers. We have that data. It's just a matter of, I think we need to reconvene and have a further follow-up discussion.
Sure. Maybe, let's see. We may not settle here, but let's maybe have keep some momentum and or more like revamp the SI topics and trying to make some progress on it. So probably we can circle back to Summit and see.
Okay.
Yeah. To get the right people on a few workshops.
Sure.
Yeah. Cool. And I think that's it. That's all so currently, just as a summary, I think we have 8 open items. And among them, I think 2 of them are related to 0.9 release. So I think we should have some focus and move on those with those, especially 0.9 gating items. Okay, cool. I'm going to move to the next topic. So I think that's not something I repeatedly share, but just want to see after Summit, I think it's a great time for us to think about what we have done and achieved in the past year, and in the rest of 2019, looking forward, what would be the community's need. So I put some thoughts here around enabling and the interop support, but I think I want to take a few minutes or the rest of time of today's meeting, trying to hear the voice from the community and what do you think as a community together we should work on to provide value to each other. I will hold a second for trying to see if anyone in the bridge has thoughts to share first.
This is Mike from the Interoperability Lab. I just want to say that if we can be of help in any way, just let me know. We can host PlugFest or try to work on some test plans or anything that you guys see as useful. We're happy to help.
And thank you, Mike. I don't see the organization, but I assume Interoperability Lab with UNH, right?
Yep.
Yep. So that's actually one of the top partners I'm thinking to approach. So thank you for self-identifying. Definitely. I think we can use organizations such as UNH as a third party, which has experience with coordinating and hosting this kind of similar purpose in different other form factor or community. So definitely, I think we should get you involved and maybe actually have you to facilitate some of these efforts. So thank you for offering that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I think one of the things is we can have, if UNH can help us develop a test plan that for qualifying both systems and cards, and we can work with UNH to create test items where test cases, I should say, and write a spec of what those test cases are, and then UNH then has the opportunity to provide a service to the world to have them run those cases and provide reports. But also just having that plan public. With the way this community works, it's important that plan and those test cases are clearly published also.
Don't we have a subgroup that's going off working on some kind of compliance checklist or something like that? I thought we already had defined a team that was looking at that kind of stuff.
I don't think anything's actually happened there. Does anyone know of anything?
Not for OCP 3.0, right? Next for 3.0, I'm not aware of that. There's some work about the SI compliance that the SI team are working on, but I don't feel it's overall like overall compliance check like more than SI, I think.
Yeah, maybe I was just expecting more out of the SI team than what they're really chartered to do, I guess. I do agree with this topic, though, of having some kind of conformance standard tests. That I think that would be a good thing.
Sure. I think, might just maybe share a little bit more thoughts about this topic because thinking about what we are doing here is really write a spec and trying to hope the spec is so clear that it's almost plug and play, right? Which means you have n number of NIC and X number of NIC and Y number of system, and really they have very high likelihood of plug and play if they conform with the spec. But in this case, this is the value we're trying to trace, and we believe this will make each partner's kind of their product design, inventory management, or how they support these different projects easier. And in this case, we do need a mechanism to have that go in check so that we do not deviate from this goal in practice. And in the past, I see if it is something, say a form factor customized by one company and they may have multiple suppliers and they become the center to do these interpretation on the INTOP, and they can, let's say if I'm the system supplier, I deal with 3 different NIC suppliers, I can ask them to do a way follow my system design, right? As long as it's consistent for my system. But now we are running a very much more distributed way that there are at least more than 5, if not 10, 20 system supplier, and maybe more than 5, maybe 10 NIC suppliers. And then if we do not have a mechanism to do this kind of work, it will be a lot of tribal knowledge and causing the bifurcation. And I see a risk of, for example, as a NIC supplier, you may need to more likely to maintain a few different hardware or firmware to just comply with those different tribal knowledge. So I feel that that's what I see that these tests can help to the whole community to stick together and really get the value from the INTOP point of view. Yeah, so actually, maybe you want to talk about a little bit about, we did a little bit INTOP kind of thing and also formal, informal, right? And during the summit, we tried to plug different things we do. And do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So yeah, so prior to the summit, we have we will have a dry run together with Mezz, Intel, and Broadcom. So all of them are, at least from detection standpoint, they are plug and play. So and then during the summit itself, we have another vendor from Marvell. So we also plug and play. During the plug test, we just plug it in and it gets detected. Obviously, we need ISO drivers to get the link up. So I would say the spec is written well enough that it allows some form of detection and single system design able to detect for the next seamlessly. So that's the good part of the next stack. I really like that. So yeah, obviously, if in the more testing will be run, if we have the system and see whether it's really confined to the spec in the down electrical level. At least on functional level, it's pretty good. And from some of our internal testing, electrical level compliance is still, I mean, maybe not up to the mark yet. So we do see some leakage and things like that.
And we also, I think I got full, but someone have tried to plug a NIC into, I think, a contact system and have a hard time to take it out. So that's probably like some tolerance or whatever thing, right? So it's not only electrical functioning, firmware, mechanical, it can be thermal as well in terms of into-off. Yeah. And I think maybe let's see. I think I want to maybe first start with trying to hear from community. There's a few echo from Intel, UNH as a potential facilitator. Lenovo shows interest. To me, I feel that maybe a good start point for people to really sit down and work on something. So I may propose to kind of make a call to community and trying to see if we can identify who are a few companies that are really motivated and see the value of this work, and then Facebook definitely are happy to host a workshop or something to have these people in our campus and trying to work out, kind of define a problem, right, and trying to see what kind of problem we are trying to address and what kind of options we can address this problem, and who are the extended team we want to work together with. So I probably will start to kind of maybe wait a few days. I hear from UNH, Intel, and Lenovo, definitely will include you. But I think we may have some focus and work out some plan with a few milestones that we want to march forward. I think this is great work for the community in the 2019, but it's just we want to make sure we are solving a real world problem, provide the real world value before we spend a lot of resources on it. So if you see this kind of effort either make sense or either need some adjustments or either maybe it doesn't make sense because of what or you see some feasibility problem, I think you should speak up and or either here or offline and shoot your email to the mailing list, etc. to voice your thoughts. So that will be appreciated. All right. So with this, I think we still have 10 minutes. It depends on if there are any open questions, any comments from Bridge before we end the meeting today. All right. So then I think we will finish meeting today here, but do expect some more activity during the month, I think, to after we wrap up the summit and come back to work, you can say. So, all right. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good one. Yeah.
Well.